Hey guys, it's James Dainard with Project.RE, and we are back on BiggerPockets YouTube channel, and today we are going to talk about inflation and how to battle it in your construction costs moving forward. As we all know, inflation is dramatically ripping up and is trending right now at around 7 to 8% in the local economy. And our construction costs, we're seeing an even more elevated pricing to where we're paying nearly 15 to 25% more for many of the things that we need to order and install in these projects. As investors, it's our job to battle these costs and figure out how to create our own margins. So we're going to talk about 5 tips that I'm currently using on all of our construction projects to keep my costs under control during these inflationary periods. Remember, this does not look transitory, and we need to anticipate these cost increase over the next 6 to 12 months as this gets settled down.
Only problem? I bought it from a fake seller.
James Dainard just walked over to my desk.
If you skip the first 3 steps, that's the easiest way to lose money. There's 5 ways that we've been able to reduce our construction costs when planning out our remodel projects. The first, we shop clearance. Many of the big box stores have things on almost giveaway. They run on low quantities to where they may only have 900 to 1,500 square feet of flooring, and they just want it out of their storage. You can shop their clearance section and sometimes pick up this stuff for less than a cent per square foot. So if you're remodeling rental properties or maybe flips that aren't spec is heavy, you can shop these things and pick up a nearly $2 to $3 saving per square foot. This allows you to offset your higher install costs because your cost on your materials go down. So check out what's on clearance, what's on giveaway, see if it works inside your scope of work, and then go purchase in advance. So the second way we've been able to reduce cost is look for things that we can keep. As we're walking these potential investments, instead of budgeting for full replacement and ripping everything out, we're slowing down and looking at condition of actual materials. Can we salvage the trim? Can we salvage the doors? Are the cabinets paintable, or can they be resurfaces? The less materials you have to buy, the more savings you're going to get. As labor costs increase, you can reduce the amount of materials you need to order and offset the labor increase by salvaging what's there. So see what you can keep and only replace when you need to, or if the comparables tell you to do so. The third way we've been able to reduce costs is just having good communication with our contractors. For example, we're working with our flooring contractor. We worked with him for years. He works with the same suppliers and vendors that he set up through his business. If those suppliers and vendors have sudden cost increase to 20 to 30%, we're trapped in that pricing. He's going to pass it along to us, even with no extra markup in there. So we've been reaching out to our subcontractors and vendors and asking if we can supply the materials, and they just do the labor. This allows us to shop the material, find out what's on clearance, find out what's on sale, and maybe go to different vendors that they might not work with and reduce the cost that way. So have good communication, figure out what you can supply, what they will supply, and then work together to drive the cost down. So the fourth thing that we've done to help reduce our cost is being flexible with our specs. We're volume guys, we're scale guys. We do anywhere between 50 and 100 projects a year. When you're doing that kind of scale, you want to keep things to template, you want to keep it organized so your contractors know what's going on and your team knows what's going on. But when you have sudden cost increase of 20 to 30%, you have to be more flexible. So now what we're doing is we're building our spec sheet with general tones and style looks rather than specific specs. We know if that specific spec has been elevated 20 to 30%, then we're going to go source something that looks very similar rather than that exact product. By just finding something similar, sometimes we can find a product on sale, on clearance, and reduce that cost by 50% and get back in budget. And lastly, the most important thing that you can do to control your cost during an inflationary period is change your scope of work. If you want to pay less in construction costs, rip out less products. The more you salvage and the more you keep and the less you change your floor plan, the more you control your costs. So now as we're looking at investments, we're not going out and looking at reconfiguring the whole structure unless we have a huge margin in there. We're going through and looking at, can we keep certain types of spaces? If the spaces work and we don't need to move everything around, that allows us to salvage a ton of materials inside the property. For example, in a 1920s home, many of these homes are built with lath and plaster. If we want to reconfigure the whole thing, we're going to need to demo the whole structure, reframe out the structure, which is a lot of wood, and then hang all new drywall throughout the whole property, which costs are way elevated on. In addition to, we're going to have to put all new insulation throughout the property, which again is at all-time highs. So now as we're out looking at investments, we're going and figuring out what floor plans work, what can we keep, Instead of demoing the entire structure, can we trench in spots for our mechanicals to work in and salvage the demo cost and the drywall costs? As you're walking through these properties, look at all the materials. Is the millwork okay? Is it salvageable? Are the doors old Craftsman doors, or are they of style that you can keep and still resell out with a good margin in there? By salvaging these materials, you can save thousands of dollars off your scope of work, but make sure you always reference your comparables that it's not going to affect your end resale value or your appraisal value when you go to refinance your next BRRRR. So over the past 12 months, we've seen a dramatic increase in construction costs. On the forecast, it's not looking much better. Inflation is rapidly rising every month, and construction costs look like they could go up another 20%. The most important thing as you're working through these projects is get creative. Think outside the box. Don't do projects maybe the way that you've done over the past 12 to 24 months. Look at the assets you have and figure out a new plan to maximize that deal. In addition to, it's fundamentally important to work with your construction teams. Let them know that you guys are all sharing these problems together. Don't just try to beat them up on price. Work on creative solutions that work for them and you. In addition to, get in front of your ordering. Be proactive, not reactive. The more reactive you are, the higher costs you're going to have. So as you look at these projects, plan out your materials, find those specs, order in advance. All these things will lead to your bottom line increasing. I hope you guys enjoyed this video on how to battle your inflation during your renovation projects. If you did, click like and subscribe below. And for more flip tips on how to keep controlling your budget during inflationary period, check out our YouTube channel at BRRRR or on social media at JDainFlips, and we'll post lots of flip tips and different ways for you to reduce your costs.